We're live. We're gonna surprise them here. We're gonna surprise them here. I bet they're expecting Rob. I was expecting Rob, and here
probably.
Are we on the screen yet? Go. Oh shoot, I messed up the animation. Here we are. So hey, what's up everyone? I am here. Welcome back to Everything EOS. Rob Finch is under the weather. He's got a sinus infection. He thought he was gonna be able to go, but about an hour ago he said no go, and I had to scramble to find someone else to fill in for him. And here we are, Peter Keay from Liquid Apps and the Everything EOS developer courses. If you're following this channel, you're probably following this guy because he's been dropping educational bombs on the EOSIO developer community. So what's up, Pete?
Hey man, I'll try to do my best Rob impressions. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to be with you. Don't run away too quick. We're not going to get technical here, all right? I'm not pulling up a terminal or anything.
Yeah, your window actually still says Rob. Let me get rid of your name tag here because you are not Rob Finch. So literally, I really
definitely
not a whole lot of a chance to update the notes. So we're going to run through this as if I'm here with Rob, but I think Pete could offer a much more like technical explanation of certain things. So the episode's going to be a little bit different than usual. As usual, like, subscribe, comment, 5-star review, depending on where you're at. Also, just assume that any tokens mentioned, any company mentioned, assume that any token we mention, someone owns on this call. You should never listen to advice from a stranger on the internet, especially investment advice. This is not investment, financial, tax advice. I'm not used to doing the warnings, but most importantly, don't get wrecked. So let's kick this thing off. I think the first thing on my agenda here is the EI-DOS update. Things are still jammed up there. How have you been holding up with your resources? You good or you locked up?
Oh man, I do the multiple accounts thing, and all of my accounts can maybe do 1 or 2 actions. Maybe 5 is like the top. So I've been unstaking, staking, trying to consolidate. It is a little rough to get things done out there, gotta say.
I got lucky. I had Rex so here's something I've realized. Like when I was buying Rex when it was dirt cheap, I wasn't even looking at how many EOS I was buying. Like I was getting thousands of EOS worth of resources per like minimum amount I was spending on Rex. But like I was never planning to use all of that. I was just like buying it because it was cheap. I'd buy like a half an EOS worth because I'm like, okay, it's like $1.50, $2, whatever. And then I would have thousands of EOS worth of resources, but I didn't actually need thousands of dollars worth of resources. I probably couldn't have gotten by like a 50th of that. So I'm actually pretty good now on like most of my accounts. But the thing that sucks with the Rex lending is 1, it ends within 30 days, and 2, you can't like stake to other people. Like you can't delegate stake from Rex. Like if I buy Rex, I can't stake that CPU to Pete. I can't pass that off. I can only stake my EOS if like it's staked to myself and I'm like using my bandwidth and not renting it from the Rex. Man,
yeah, so I mean, not very many people are in that situation where they just happen to buy Rex because it was fun before the crunch happened. And so they're spending something like between 10 and 30 EOS you've got to stake, maybe 40 or 50 depending on the action, just in order to do 1 action per day. I was looking at the numbers to figure out what we needed to post into some contracts over at Liquid Apps, and it's running up there, you know, and that's pretty expensive for people. Some dapps are covering it, and I know they're eating some huge costs. Sense just tweeted, Crystal from Sense tweeted that they're spending something like $1 million just to like lowest level of functionality. But Dallas at Karma said they've got like $300,000 of resources staked or something for users, and that's just that users want to do more than that but can't. So it is getting a little tough out there, definitely.
So let's go off the script because like this is totally different now that you're on here. Like how do you see this from a developer standpoint? Like you're a developer, but you don't have like a dapp with a bunch of users. I think they're in the worst situation right now is the people who have thousands of users who can't do anything. They can't play the game or you said Karma is delegating now. Karma's back up.
Yeah, well, last I saw, yeah, but they'd only allow a minimal amount of activity from all of its users. Check out Dallas on Twitter to find out. But as a developer, I mean, it's almost like it was waiting to happen. You'll see people around the web talking about how like, well, we were preparing for this. We thought something like this was going to happen. We just didn't know it was going to happen right now. Mm-hmm. You know, it kind of forced us to recommend new things for people, things that we said, well, in a couple of years, you want to do this. Now we're saying, you know, we want to do it now. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely pushed us along in terms of like it's a mega stress test, right? And I don't want to speak too positively about it. I know that a lot of people are reeling from this thing. And if you're one of those people, we did just put out a little video on how to do some emergency actions on blocks.io. And I know there's other ways we're going to talk about how to get things done on EOS, even during this congested time.
Yeah. So I originally planned to kind of recap like what exactly is causing this. I think by this point, most people in the community have an idea of what EIDOS is. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I'm just going to recap it real quick before we continue this conversation. And I don't know the whole story. I'm just going by what a lot of people have told me. And then there's an old Bitcoin talk thread that you can kind of follow the entire conversation, at least the parts that haven't been deleted since February 2018. And there is a lot of stuff deleted. But on the Bitcoin talk, if someone like does a reply thread, the original message in the reply is still there, even if it got deleted. So I've been able to kind of gather some information from there. And it seems like when I don't even know how to say it, Muvo. I hate saying that. You said you couldn't say it either.
We don't even know how they pronounce ADOS. I used to teach Greek, so I say ADOS, but there's EDOS, there's EIDOS. But anyway, yeah,
I don't know.
It stands for what? Enumivo is dead. Oh shit. Sorry, family friendly, right?
It's all
something
good.
like that.
But it seems like they did their original distribution very similar on ETH. You send a zero ETH transaction to this ETH address, and then so you're burning gas there, and then they would send you, I think 4,000 of their tokens at the time for that. So I don't know, so they were taking a loss there. I don't know where that gas fee came from, because the sender of the original tokens would have been eating that. And then the project seemed pretty positive. They always intended on launching an EOSIO fork. They have a lot of like unique tools. They have a UBI code repo built, and then I think they deployed. They did a token swap back. I don't know if it was May or June of 2019. So just a couple months ago, they launched their EOSIO mainnet fork or whatever it was, and it just got cartelized like much quicker than there was ever even a question on EOS if that was happening. Like EOS, I feel like for the first year didn't really have huge problems of like exchanges or cartels. So basically the founder of the project, he's a pseudo anonymous Aiden Pierce, also
you know who that is
from Watchdog Marvel Comics.
You ever play Watch Dogs? Yep, he's a famous hacker in the game anyway.
Wes Carmichael, just sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, go ahead. Where's Rob?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not Rob. Rob is under the weather. Either Rob's put on a few pounds or he's under the weather. Yeah.
Ooh, I never knew you could grow such a beard. Let me just get through this backstory. Yes, the Watchdogs guy. So apparently, like he's like the Dan Larimer of Inamuvo, pseudo, but he was like more of a Satoshi since he was anonymous. He basically said like he was trying to fix this, and this is just the story I've heard. He was trying to solve some of their governance problems, and then all of the cartelized BPs were basically calling him a dictator. So he said, basically, screw you guys, I'm going home. Sent all of his founders tokens to the equivalent of the EOSIO.saving account of like their chain. And I guess he's gone from there. And then November 1st, this mining token launched, and that's kind of when we went into super congestion mode. I think it could have been a lot worse, though. Could you imagine if Dexaran wasn't stress testing the mainnet like for the weeks leading up to this?
Or if Rex wasn't out, or there's all kinds of times it could have been worse. But it could have been better too. So it just is what it is. But what concerns me is that we don't really know what they intend to do.
Yes.
I never buy it when a project is like, don't worry, we've got exciting things coming. Just mine our token now, and we'll reveal stuff later. That's just a huge red flag for me. I've seen project after project do that, where they try to encourage the community to be positive, and we're building a secret project, and just accumulate now and participate and spread the word. That's just scam flags. So if Enumivu has any good intentions beyond a stress test kind of Dexaran situation, they should probably talk about them soon.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So I'm under the same impression. Like I will continue to call it a shitcoin until I learn what it does. But that doesn't mean it won't have utility. They did, like I said, whenever they launched their original chain, they did have some unique features to it. And after this stress test, I don't even want to call it a stress test, but it is. I mean, it's just a never-ending stress test. It's the new normal. They launched their code repo for something called Codex Exchange, which is like a base layer like Dex. I haven't really looked into it too much. So they did release one thing, but I like, that's what this platform's for. Like, if you are from the EIDOS team, come talk to us. Like, everyone wants to know like what this is. Like, if you want to stay anonymous, that's fine. I'll let your voice come on here, and I'll talk to a ghost. But I just want to know more about what's going on, because there has to be a lot of people involved. Because as soon as this thing started mining on November 1st, it instantly got picked up by like BitHum Exchange, and then Nudex, like this, I think the same day also. Token Pocket had a mining app like in their app store like the day this came out. So whoever's behind the project, they seem to be very connected. My other question on this is, with that backstory with Aiden Pierce, whoever he is or she is, like, who's running the Inamuvo social media right now, and who's running this like mining token? Is it the cartelized exchanges, or is it this like noble founder that they supposedly had? I don't know.
I don't know either. And, you know, I mean, we talk about solutions. Another one besides Blocks.io, which gives you 3 free transactions a day, and I'm looping back around to where you were, is Token Pocket, which you mentioned, right? You can use their TPT token, apparently. I haven't done this, to buy CPU and get CPU for much cheaper than you would by like buying EOS and staking it, apparently. But I mean, what if, and I like the guys at Token Pocket, I'm not saying it's Token Pocket, but what if one of these solution tokens that's out there, or has yet to be out, what if they're associated with it, right? I mean, it could be a move to make one of these tokens the place to go, the thing to do. I don't know. We just don't know.
I mean, do you remember Airdrops DAC had, I think they still do, the ZKS token, and it like gave you a CPU? What if like this mining token turns into like a CPU? Like, use my CPU now, and then these tokens are like good for like future resources. Since I use resources to mine, maybe I can get some of those resources back. I really have no idea. But what I have up on the screen here is the transactions per second, and the CPU costs, and the actions per hour. And all of these analytics came from EOSTitan.com. If you haven't been on their site, you've been sleeping. They have the most amazing analytics dashboards here. Them and EOS Authority are second to none. But you could see like the CPU milliseconds per EOS is at like an all-time bottom here. And then the actions per hour all kicked up on exactly November 1st. So I'm kind of indifferent about this. I don't know how to feel, because EOS Nation just turned, I don't think we even talked about it on here, but for a long time, Blocktivity, for a couple weeks, they weren't showing EOS transactions. So it was always showing like TRX or Steam or other chains as the #1 blockchain. So I'm kind of indifferent, because we're under this stress test, but now we find ourselves in this position where we're doing 70% of all blockchain transactions. And like, some people, and myself included, I would say, is like saying it's a junk transaction. It's just like an empty transaction. You're getting a token that no one knows what it does. But like that's from my perspective. I think the people mining it, I don't know. Do you think the people mining it are part of the token?
I mean, I don't know. I bet there's a lot of people mining it that aren't part of it as well. You know how these things tend to catch on in certain areas of the world where there's probably whole mining shops set up. But what it's done is it's basically incentivized all of the network to DDoS the network. You know, we talk about DDoS proofing. We talk about how someone has to work up a botnet, and, you know, can't possibly have the resources to DDoS something this big. Well, if you incentivize everyone on the network to DDoS the network, then you've accomplished it. And while just vertical scaling, I don't think would help in this situation, right? We talk about the improvements coming with the new EOS VM, right, and the upgrades and the more powerful CPU power. Well, wouldn't that just be filled up immediately by more mining? There's other solutions that I'm sure people are working on. That's not the answer. More capacity.
Right. So we're in a position right now where basically, when all this congestion hit on like November 1st, I don't know the exact dates in front of me, but the Rex just got really expensive, and that the system was still working. It was just super expensive. But then the Rex shut off before it ran out of tokens to lend out. And that if you see people talking about a 20% buffer, I don't even know what the a glide. I forget what the actual term is for the 20%. But
some people call it a bug.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So that's the issue right now, and that's I think the biggest problem on the mainnet. So it's super expensive. That's a problem for most people because like this was supposed to be an affordable blockchain, but at the end of the day, it's stake weighted. Like the people with the most tokens have control of the chain. They're voting for the BPs that they are, and some people that are mining the tokens apparently see some sort of value in them. But I do question the authenticity of who's mining them. I don't even have this in the notes, but before the show, I was looking through like their Twitter account, Inu Mivo. I can't even say the name. I looked at their Twitter account, and they're only getting like 6 or 7 likes per post. So it just makes no sense to me how there's like, it appears to be like thousands of people mining this token, but yet there's nobody following them on Twitter or anything. Like, I guess if it's an Asian thing, maybe there's other social medias that are more popular, or the word's getting out. But that's something that's like throwing up a giant red flag for me, is that they don't have an active Telegram group. They don't have an active Twitter, but yet they have thousands of accounts mining tokens and eating up all the resources. So I do question on who is the one mining these. But there's also regular Joes mining it too. I mined like 12 of them. I didn't want to use all my CPU. On like one of the first days, I ran my CPU up to like 50%, and I was like, I'm done, because I don't want to run out of CPU and be screwed for a couple days. So I think there's people doing that too. But there are solutions. They're very temporary solutions for some of them. And I think you started to talk about it at the beginning, but with the blocks.io.
Yeah, sure. You can go to blocks.io with a scatter wallet, a scatter-based wallet. You might be able to do it with other wallets because they use Transit API. I haven't tried it with like Lynx. But I know that Ledger has some problems. If you have a Ledger, you're going to have possibly some problems with the 2 actions on this. So you might need to, I don't know, swap your key temporarily, your active key to a hot wallet or something in order for it to work. But you go to Blocks, and they will cover the first few transactions per day for you per account. That's 3, and it's changing to, what is it? It's just system contracts now. So that's just things like transfers, staking, voting. You can't play EOS nights via Blocks.io interface. It's very difficult. So not things like that. But hopefully we'll see more dApps. Everpedia just announced yesterday that it's going to be covering users' resource costs, which is great. We'll see more dApps coming in, and we'll be able to weather the storm until a better solution's out.
So you brought up the
token pocket too, we mentioned. Yeah,
like this is interesting to me. Like I haven't really had a lot of time to think about this because I think it was just tweeted this morning. But it seems like this TP token is basically CPU. So it seems to do something very similar to what the ZKS token did. And like you said, like this is a business. I mean, this is a business model. They now have this resource token that they could sell. They apparently have enough resources. But I like the guys at Token Pocket. I met Marcus at B1 June, like a great team. I'm not speaking negatively about Token Pocket. As a matter of fact, I'm speaking positively because given the situation, they're the best solution out there, it seems. And I also appreciate that they set a flat rate for their token price, for their CPU price. So they're saying it's 0.05 EOS to get 29.84 milliseconds of CPU. So like they set that price. That's not like a free market price. That's interesting because then what happens when the Rex turns on? Do they change their pricing model or do they lower their price? Like what happens?
29.84 milliseconds. That's like 300 EOS worth of CPU.
298.4. I realize you can't probably see the tweet on the screen. Right. Yeah. So
something like 15 to 20 actions.
Yeah. So I if you scroll down the document, I have like this thing from EOS Go. They posted it, and it tells you like they're actually providing CPU for dApps too. So right now, the biggest issue with EOS mainnet is if you're locked up, you can't even there's no Rex availability. You can't stake to Rex to get more CPU. So unless you know someone that could stake CPU to, or you use Blocks.io, a lot of people are just completely locked up. But with this token pocket solution, not only are they allowing dApps to pay for CPU with their TP token, but they're also letting users buy it also. So if you're using the Token Pocket mobile app, which I personally use, I really like it, the pro version especially, there's at least a solution now. So the people that have been completely locked out for like 3 days, 4 days, whatever, And if Blocks.io wasn't cutting it for you with like the 3 or 5 transactions per day that they're doing, I guess I feel confident recommending Token Pocket because I think they have a great wallet and a great team. So I just want to point that out. I'm checking the chat here.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another little video on Token Pocket then.
Man, I'm used to every time I stop talking, Rob's ready to jump in. Man, I gotta get used to this here. I also want to throw that. I want to throw this out there.
Little insult there, yeah. Go for it.
Well, it's just hard to get in a groove here. I'm just trying to go. I just want to remind everyone that Rob and I will be doing a live stream from Blacksburg, Virginia. That's a few topics down in the notes, but I will say that even though Rob's not here today, he's battling a sinus infection. He will do everything in his power to make it to Blacksburg, which I'll just jump to that topic now. Actually,
all right, let's go.
Well, no, man, I'm all off my.
Oh man, let's talk about EOS gentrification. All right, there are some people arguing. Let's talk about the Dan tweets. Let's talk about all these things. There are some people arguing that this is how the network is supposed to work, right? I mean, we have a certain percentage of the network resources, and we have the right to those percentage. And this is just free market. Would you really complain if Dan had something about roads and cars and tolls? Remember that?
You got it up on screen? They're in the notes if you scroll through them. But
I see them. All right. Yeah, don't complain about the market balancing supply and demand by raising prices. Would you complain because car rentals were too expensive? I think I might.
Well, look, like I just took these screenshots before we went on. Look at the likes on this. Usually when Dan makes a tweet, he gets like 300 likes, a bunch of retweets. 34, 24, tweets. And 17. Yeah.
Look at the comment tweets too. And maybe Dan needs to rethink it a little bit because EOS was kind of not marketed. That's not the right word, but we all promoted EOS as a blockchain for everyone, the blockchain for adoption, the blockchain for free transactions. And now that's really being called into doubt. And something else that's interesting is that with previous CPU congestion episodes, there's been a relatively quick response from Block.One, from Dan, right? Saying, hey, there's a fix, there's an improvement coming out. And have you seen anything like that recently?
Oh, yeah. So I think we kind of hit on it earlier. So Saeed Jeffries from Blocks.io, he actually wrote the code update to remove the 20% Rex buffer so that you could actually let the bank core algorithm do what it was meant to do. And it's supposed to drive the price up until you get to zero availability. And like at some point, the price to purchase the CPU is just like more than you're actually getting. So it just like doesn't make sense economically. And that's how it keeps the balance. But whenever the bank core algorithm gets shut off automatically at 20%, it like doesn't work. That's not how it was meant to be built. So Saeed, apparently, I think he pushed this code update, but the top 21, from what I understand, they just aren't. I think I lost your audio. But they don't feel comfortable doing a code update from a community member, is what I've heard. But from what I understand, it's like 3 lines of code, 2 lines of code. It's not like a huge update here. So there were a lot of questions. You still there? All right, I just lost Pete. There, you're back.
No, I'm back. Sorry.
But not. I think Rahman from Investing with a Difference and Blockstart, he made a tweet saying like we have to get this 20% cap removed. Like this is the biggest issue on the mainnet right now, is that this 20% cap is still on the Rex. There's a code update available. The block producers, if they wanted to review it and bug check it, they could update it today. But it seems to me, from what I understand, they're waiting for an official update from Block.One at this time. So how do you feel about that, about them being supposedly overly cautious about only being willing to take an update from Block.One, even though you have like the man, the myth, the legend, Saeed Jeffries doing the code update, who has very high reputation?
This is their livelihood. And they, like you said, they probably don't have all the code review. I don't know if they don't have the code review skills, the code review bandwidth, the code review whatever. And they want to trust Block.One, They don't want to, sorry, Saeed, but it's going to take a little bit, I think, more community integration. And something we've really seen here is that divide, right, between the Chinese-speaking EOS community and the English-speaking EOS community. So, and what does it take? What's the solution? Better communication? Dan did something from Block.One, maybe?
Well, Dan at least tweeted out that he's in favor of removing the cap. So like I thought that was going to be like, all right, let's go. Like let's give this a couple of days and hopefully we can get this upgrade out. But then it like took to a standstill again. So it's like, even though Dan said that we got to remove this safety check and Saeed wrote the code, it's like they still won't accept it. And I think that's another somewhat of an issue on the mainnet, I'd say. Like, we're not going to sugarcoat that everything's great, but the fact that there's like, we're trying to be decentralized, but then there's a large group of people that will only listen to a central authority figure on what to do and not do. So I think that kind of goes against things also. The next topic I have on this list, I thought it was going to be like a relatively quick, non-technical topic. But since we're talking about the mainnet being all clogged up, let's get into LiquidX and multi-chain dApps and what's now possible. If you're a dApp on the EOS mainnet and this sucks for you, there's solutions. Like I mean, you could always have went to another chain, but now you can go to other chains and also get all of the extensibility of like EOSIO contract functionality through the dApp network. I'll let you kick this one off since you're the pro.
Sure, yeah. LiquidX brings the dApp network to other smart contract chains, and right now to other EOSIO chains, but potentially other smart contract chains in the future. You know, who knows? And we've been thinking about the possibilities on this one, man. That you could run a dApp that's on a side chain, or a sister chain, sorry, a sister chain like Telos, Wax, Bosscore, Warbly, Lynx, Meet1. I'm probably missing some really popular ones there, but you could run Ultra, right? I don't know if they're up yet.
Did you Talos? Talos just got
that was the first one I said. That was the first one I said.
I missed it. I'm sorry. Go Talos, guys! Congratulations. That's the first sister chain to get published by Block.One. Congrats.
Yeah, there's an article out. What is it today from Block.One mentioning it was an interview with Doug. And so you can not only run on those sister chains now and have dApp network services, you could also potentially share resources with contracts with parts of your app or with other dApps that are on mainnet or on other sister chains.
I got you full screen now. You got to talk. You're talking dirty to me. Keep going. You're full screen.
Imagine like running all your expensive stuff, all your resource intensive stuff on a sister chain, maybe your own chain. Maybe a dApp could run its own chain, maybe on Telos, maybe on whatever, and then pinning it sort of, or doing the more critical aspects on mainnet or on another sister chain. You know, and you don't even have to necessarily have transactions that are communicating across chains, like throwing a ball back and forth, because you're both working with the same resource, like two computers in totally different parts of the world accessing the same website. Right, or on the same database, where your contracts on Telos or Wax or Boss or Warbly, whatever, are accessing this shared resource and making changes and saving data and whatever, and that's also available to your contracts on mainnet for whatever functions there. So we're just starting to explore the possibilities here, and I can't wait to see what some of the dApps might do at the upcoming hackathon. That we're going to have.
Did you say hackathon?
I said hackathon.
I think we're going to cover a few more things. Could you cover the provisioning layer? I think that because I think this might be how the mainnet looks, is like your tokens could live. Like whenever you run LiquidX and you're on like a different chain, whether you're on the Jungle testnet or any of those sister chains we mentioned, it could be any EOSIO chain. You're running a DSP node, a full node, you're running a full EOSIO node and a DSP node on like Talos, for example, or Warbly or Wax or any of them that want to. I have to say them all because I don't want to just say it's like one and not the other. It's open to all of them if they choose to adopt it, and if DSPs choose to run DSPs on these other networks, because they have to run a new block producer node basically, or at least a full EOS.
I want to stop you there. The networks don't have to choose to adopt this. It's like EOS mainnet it's the block producers are getting involved, being DSPs and all that, but nobody on EOS mainnet, there was no MSIG, nobody had to say, okay, let's enable dApp network.
Yeah.
Right. If DSPs want to offer services or dApps want to spin up their own on Telos or Warbler, let's just come up with an acronym that lists them all, right? And they want to do that, they can do it and they can offer it and developers can use it, even though the main chain is unaware of it completely.
The interesting thing with LiquidX is that if you want to use dApp services on these other chains, though, you're still you're doing your quota, your billing essentially, and you're provisioning on the EOS mainnet. So there is still an aspect of the system contract and the token lives on the mainnet, because sometimes we see these other solutions and they end up deploying a new token each chain that they launch on, and that's just ridiculous. It dilutes everyone. It doesn't make sense. It's like a different token at that point. But with dApp, it's just everything's on the mainnet, or at least the quota and the provisioning is, and then it's like the minimal transactions or the minimal CPU required. Where was I?
Right, yeah. So the provisioning, checking that you have enough dapp for services, the SLAs, that's all still on mainnet. You're right. And the DSP, but again, there's still no like cross-chain tossing the ball back and forth with like heavy resource usage to figure that out. The DSP checks and then comes back whenever you're using a dapp service provider. And since you're using multiple, that's arguably decentralized because there's this free market dynamic, right? So it's an interesting way to do cross-chain communication kind of indirectly, but it also would just let dapps use the dapp network and the EOS dapp token on other EOSIO chains and maybe Ethereum in the future if somebody releases that. And I'm excited.
I just want to call out for anyone who doesn't have the bell smashed and the notifications. You may have missed it earlier this week, but I have an amazing interview with the CTO of Liquid Apps, Tal Muscal. He's the brains behind a lot of these solutions, just ridiculous mind of his. He's like a genius. And he goes into some of this detail. And just to highlight a few things, is we talked about the hackathon, which is our next topic, but he also brought up vCPU, which is super interesting. We're getting a lot of questions on if it's a solution to like the current problem on the mainnet. I think we should be upfront that I don't think it in itself, as it stands today, it doesn't like solve these like tiny transaction problems. Can you kind of fill everyone in on that?
Yeah, I was grabbing the link for the Tal video. If you want like a little 2-minute teaser of that, go check that link out. But so all Liquid Apps services, since they're still provisioned, or rather dapp network services, since they're still kind of provisioned on the EOS mainnet, they still do take CPU, right? We keep saying that they're all on chain. They're not off chain. They're on chain, on chain, on chain. That means that, each time you use them, there's a little bit of CPU involved. So vCPU itself is not a direct answer to the congestion problems we're currently having. vCPU lets dapps do things they never did before and access computation that's cheaper, but there's still at least a little bit of CPU that you have to spend each time you're doing something.
I think it's got an amazing use case that I think a lot of people haven't even started to wrap their heads around yet. And that's normal because this is like stuff that's never been done before. But luckily for everyone watching or listening, we do have, here's the plug, we have the Liquid Apps dapp Network Hackathon from November 17th to the 24th. We will be in Tel Aviv, Israel for an on-site hackathon that is also part of the larger week-long global virtual hackathon. And Pete's been churning out the developer courses leading up to this. You want to kind of talk about some of your educational materials you've already put out to help people prepare for this?
Yeah, I'm just replying in that live chat there.
It's hard doing this live thing, isn't it?
There's
a lot going on.
Hey, and everyone's really gracious. We just threw this together last minute. Zack Gall, and he's like, Pete, I need somebody now, and everyone's being great. But we've been putting out developer courses out as we get the teaching platform up. We didn't want to wait to make everybody else wait, so we've been releasing them on YouTube and building up some materials, which kind of double as materials for people that want to participate in the dapp Network Hackathon. How do you get set up for dapp Network? How do you do VRAM? How do you do all this stuff? And we're going to have videos out for that. And this is going to be great. It's global. So you're sitting on your couch right now watching this video. You could be sitting on your couch in, 2 weeks, coding the next great $25,000 winner dapp. And there's up to $50,000 in prizes split into some categories. And I can't wait. We've got some great teams already signed up. What are some of the teams, Zach? Let's hear some of the teams. Are we allowed to say the teams?
I don't have them off the top of my head. I haven't been.
Let's talk about some of the ones that are publicly said.
Yeah,
we've got EOS Detroit publicly. We've got Tippett. You know those guys?
Dude, they're on our hackathon team in San Fran.
Yeah.
Of course I know Tippett.
I was saying the public, right? You could tip people EOS and EOS tokens and Telegram channels and on Twitter, and they're building something. They're coming, and other great teams that I don't know if they're public yet, coming and showing up. So if you're a developer or a product designer or a UX guy or a UI guy or an entrepreneur or you do anything that could possibly be related to building a great app. If you're just an ideas person, right? You should come join the wonderful men and women already at the hackathon. Find a great team to join, and maybe you'll win something.
I don't have it on my screen right now, but there's also a best social media post. So there is like a $3,000 prize for the best social media. So the rules for that is you have to be a registrant in the hackathon, and you got to have some sweet social media posts. You got to use the dapp hackathon hashtag, and I think you got to send your link to an email. I don't have it in front of me. I didn't have it in my notes, but that's the one I've been pushing some people for. Obviously, I want to see the amazing hacks, but I also want to see Nolio. I want to see like 10 people live tweeting throughout the hackathon, just like Nolio did with chess. That's what I'm hoping for. So if anyone wants to win the prize, that's the type of best social media tweet I'm going to personally use my vote for out of our team. I don't know if everyone else will agree with me, but I think what Nolio did on Twitter was epic.
Epic. Oh, hey, we got a new. Tell us. All right. I mistook the orange there for a sponsor super chat. Or whatever it's called. Nope.
My next topic here is one that I'm actually super stoked about. But Pete, you went to Vegas for the EOS summit, so we got this hackathon coming up. We got a lot of stuff coming up to prepare. So Pete will not be joining Rob and I going to the Bloxburg summit, the very first ever in Blacksburg, Virginia.
You're making me feel bad about it.
Oh man, I will, man. This is gonna be epic. So I didn't cue anything up. Brendan Bloomer is the opening speaker. He's kicking it off with a fireside chat with solid. I don't have his name on my screen. I just see his Twitter handle, so I forget his name. CNBC news anchor will be leading the fireside chat. I think he's also a Virginia Tech alumni, but he'll be interviewing Brendan Bloomer. The keynote speaker, the very the big speaker on the last day, is Dan Larimer. There's speakers from IBM there, all these big enterprises. Lee Schneider, who I will continue to call out as being the man at Block.One for the SEC waiver and all of the legal maneuvering that the Block.One team was able to do to get that waiver. And speaking of the SEC commissioner, Hester Pierce, will be there. So we got representatives from
SEC representatives. Yeah. This is an amazing guest list beyond what you just said. Everyone should go and just check out the guest list, scroll through it.
I mean, I didn't plan. I thought Rob had more of them memorized than I do. But there's like Accenture. I don't have them all in front of me. Eva is going to be there. I'm excited for that. Follow My Vote, which we've talked about on here before. They're speaking. Moonlighting will be there, who we've talked about this on the show a bunch of times. But I'm super excited for that. I'm not going to speculate that there's going to be any announcements. I think this is just a conference. I think it's going to be a cool conference. I paid $150 for my ticket. Cheapest conference ticket I've ever bought, I think. And I guess that's that. I think, man, I'm like off my groove here. I wish I prepared a little bit better.
That's fine. Yes, no, come on down to Blacksburg if you're away. Well, our ticket sale's still open.
Yeah, so they're supposed to close on November 4th, but then they're open until the day of the event. So they always pull that stuff.
Maybe I should come. Maybe I should come down.
You still could. You gotta.
All right. I'm going to Blacksburg.
For real?
You've convinced me on the air.
This is awesome. This is amazing. All right, great. Buy your damn ticket.
As long as the ticket prices haven't gone up.
No, they haven't. Right. So I guess while we're talking about Block.One and hackathons, I actually had a really good interaction with Block.One last night. So like 1 o'clock in the morning, I had a call, Liquid Apps. We had a call with Block.One about the hackathon, because if you've been following Block.One on Twitter and everywhere, they've been pushing the hackathons again over the last month. They've been saying like, reach out to us, fill out your web forms. So we finally got a chance to touch base, and I just want to tell everyone they're super supportive of hackathons. I don't want to spoil anything because we had to confirm everything first, but I will say that I was very impressed with how Block.One is handling this new hackathon initiative, where they want the community to run the hackathons and they'll support it in different ways. And I also want to give one spoiler, that if you are signed up for the November EOSIO developer newsletter, and you get signed up for that, I think by logging in with your GitHub on the EOSIO developer portal. If you're on that mailing list for the November newsletter, you're probably going to see multiple upcoming hackathons on there coming up. I think I'll let that get announced when it does. I don't want to spoil everyone's fun, but there are non-Block.One hackathons coming up, I think, in December and January, they said. And it didn't seem like it was private information. It's going to come out probably in the next couple of days because I'm expecting that email blast to come out, because last month I got it maybe a few days after this. I keep reading the live chat. Are you reading your phone?
Yeah, no. I'm looking at the notes, man. So there's one thing we still need to hit, right?
What's that?
And I wanted to hit this, but I forgot about it. And that's this DGoods news.
The floor is yours. Go for it.
Yeah, all right. So DGoods just announced that they adopted Microsoft Azure Token Taxonomy Framework, making their NFTs more interoperable. So they're getting involved. I don't know. Is this a partnership? Does Microsoft even know about this? You know the nature of blockchain partnerships.
That's kind of what I gathered from the article. Like, no news. Like, I love mythical games. Like, I will hype them all the time. But this press release didn't really get picked up by anyone. I looked it up on Google News and I got it on like 2 sites. But I think what it looked like, I looked up this token framework, and it seems like they're trying to build like a standardization, almost even cross-chain. So like we know DGoods is like an EOS like standard, or EOSIO standard, I should say. And then it seems like Azure has their framework that they're building. And I think what this means is that DGoods is continuing to have their own standard, but it's going to be interoperable with this other standard. And like interoperability is kind of like the theme we're seeing here, is like all of these different blockchains, they got to communicate at some point, and the only way they're going to communicate is with good standards or really good middleware. So
I'm gonna have a video out on DGoods, at least one, with this developer course that I've been working on. So maybe I'll look into this Azure standard as well, and we can tell people how to make their NFTs multi-chain interoperable.
Someone in the chat, San Diego Coin, hey, I'm using Windows 10. It's a partnership with Microsoft. I don't think so, buddy. I think it's cool. It's good news, but I really I wouldn't call it a partnership. If we want to speculate over some news, I got there was I think Bloomer's just trolling Zuckerberg and Facebook, but we brought this up whenever Zuckerberg had that speech like a couple weeks ago at this point, where he said the word voice like 37 times or something ridiculous.
Yep. And then they changed their logo colors to basically voice colors. Facebook is no longer blue, apparently. It's red and pink and orange.
Yeah. So it's funny that Bloomer like responded to both of them, because it's kind of like trolling in a way. I really don't think. I mean, it could be something bigger, but like I'm not gonna pull a B1 June speculation here. I think so. This is two coincidences that. One coincidence, it's fine. There's nothing to this. 2 coincidences, okay, I'm going to start paying more attention to this. And that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm not ready to go gung-ho and say this is anything more. I also want to point out that Instagram uses gradient colors, and Instagram's been around before voice.
Yep.
And Facebook's essentially just adopting the gradient color of Instagram. So I guess I just shut down the rumor mill, maybe, or I'm
Zach,
getting
you
trolled.
really tempered your ways, man. Before B1 June, you were sure that Facebook was launching like UBI satellites on EOS.
Hey, that's what Stan Larimer said, buddy. Stan Larimer said he's launching damn astronauts in space. Well, there's I don't really have anything else in the notes. This is a little different of a show. You got to hear a little bit from Pete. Do you have anything else we want to talk about? Because these notes were meant for Rob. I know you have your own little expertise. You're the expert explainer and educator of Liquid Apps and everything EOS. What do you got for us? Anything?
Well, hey, I'll see you in Bloxburg. I don't want to get too technical on these guys, especially after we've run an hour. But do check out the developer course if you're a developer at all, or even a non-developer. Heck, I know that some people have appreciated the intro to dapp network and the scatter and whatever, even though they don't program, just to kind of get a peek under the hood and see how some of the things work. Sometimes I code live and I like sit there puzzling with the thing and saying, like yelling at my computer, what do you want from me? And stuff like that. But it's a fun time, and I'll hope to see more of you there.
I have one more thing I want to say. I want to say that I saw you join the Vigor DAC recently, and you've been in some of the channels. And I just want to say, as a Vig custodian, I appreciate that. And I would appreciate if you would contribute more of your time and attention. I guess I should be clear. I do own VIG tokens. I'm a VIG custodian, so I am claiming daily VIG. So I guess throw that out there, because Everything's transparent here. I got big tokens at the beginning of the launch. They were teleported, and that's that. If you want to any questions, check Twitter. I have nothing. It's a blockchain, guys. It's transparent. Like nothing, no surprises here. But I'm super excited about that. So, hey, you asked earlier about a team joining the hackathon. This just hyped me up. The Vigor team is joining. They signed up for a team at the hackathon. Right. So, yeah. So you're going to have to help them as a mentor. So you can't really probably get too involved until after the hackathon. But I'm super stoked, hoping that they run some VPU and some different variations of vCPU, because they're like the perfect project for this with all of the computations going on in the stablecoin engine that they've got built. So I want to point them out. Ghostbusters are signed up in the hackathon. Who else? Let's call a few out. Then let's hop off here.
We talked about Tippet. We talked about Hong Kong. We talked about EOS Detroit. I mean, I know there's some other.
Right, whatever,
I'm trying
man.
to get the Cybercode twins to join, and apparently they're doing some lightning thing.
Let's call
or whatever.
If anyone made it this long, let's call them out. Douglas Horn, I want to see you in the hackathon. Build on Talos, build on dapp network. If you're not going to do it, you got to find some people on Talos too. I'm super excited to extend functionality to the every chain, really. But I'm only calling them out because they are very technical powerhouses, and like it seems like with these problems on the mainnet that it's kind of bringing people together in a way who used to argue. We had Fred from Links Chain come into the Everything EOS chat today and say, like, let's talk about liquid apps. Maybe it'll work on Links Chain for dapp network. So I'm super excited to see that. I'm super excited to see interoperability. I'm super excited for the hackathon, and I'm super excited that you're coming to Bloxburg. I can't believe you just changed your mind like that.
Well, hey, you're a persuasive guy. What can I say? And just getting hyped about, the things that we're going to find out there and the things people we're going to talk to. So, yep.
Yeah,
exciting month for EOS. Exciting month for EOSIO.
Let's sign off here. It goes
sign off.
Once again until like Sunday, I guess, because we'll probably be posting content from the event, or after the event, at least after the networking thing on Sunday. So until Sunday, or maybe Monday, maybe even Tuesday, I'm Zack Gall.
I'm Peter Keay.
And this is Everything EOS.
Everything EOS.
Go EOS! Go EOS! Oh, we messed that up. Smash the thumbs up.
It was in sync on my side. Yeah, smash the thumbs up, smash like, subscribe. Don't mind the developer videos coming out unless you're a developer, and we'll see